Okay, it is a new recording, and I hope that this one is going to work better than the one before. I am doing ornament. The 10 is a shotgun made by a Connecticut manufacturer. Anyway. And for the gun, I do what I call an how do you call that? Oh. Anyway, for what I see, it's like bushes or tree being used as a background for inlays of bird. Usually I try to put small bird because I think that what would be on this type of trees. I feel like big bird would not be comfortable in bushes. Of course, you can always say that pheasant to get there. It's my job. Oh, it's my creation, so I can do whatever I want. Anyway, to start with, I make the tree on the bushes, whatever you want to call it. And I try to keep it natural, which is to say that I don't really have to have any design of any sort, as long as it looks more or less like branches. And of course branches have all sorts of shape, so you can do more or less whatever you want. And since I don't really care to design what I do before to do it, it fit my taste very well. So I'm going to do that for a little while, and then when I will be done with my branches, I will put some leaves. You know, people do hunt in fall, so it is not quite leafless. But there is obviously much fewer leaves at this time of the year that it will be in fall in spring. So it does allow you to sew the branch much more than you would otherwise. Okay, I'm not going to say much for a few minutes, because there is really nothing to say, or nothing to add to what I just said. And of course, since it's only a test, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Now I'm going to do a few leaves of different shape. I try to be somewhat logical when I do it, but of course, it doesn't always work that way. I'm going to start to cut or remove the inside of the little inlay. Usually when I do something like that, I do several at once in the leaves because I find it more convenient. Okay, I'm looking for the proper tool. So, let's keep, I think it's here. Yeah. Oh, no, wrong one. What about this one? Wrong one too. Ah. Yeah, that one is the right one. And usually I take a heavier hammer. Okay. Forget that one. I was going to take a break, and actually I decided to finish this little inlay so I can show you and move on. So you did see that I removed some steel inside the leaves, and then I kind of stipple the background. It's fairly heavy stippling, of course, but it's kind of a stippling anyway. Let me show you. Okay, to focus that thing. I don't know how much you can see. Let me put some light. Anyway, that's the way the surface looks. So it is not kind of, it is very rough. Now I'm going to put the gold. Usually, sometimes I put, where did I put it? I lost my gold, my God. Here is some. I don't really make a big effort to shape my gold, but I do make some. Because otherwise when you hammer it, you can actually deform the steel underneath. And since I don't like to do that, I try not to put too much excess gold. Okay, I lost another tool, of course, so give me a second. And I have no idea where I put it. Here it is. Okay. Okay, they are small inlay, but the thing will be exactly the same if it was a big one. One day, when I will have a larger inlay to do, I will make a video. I try not to press it too flush, because like that I got some excess gold. See there? Here? Anyway, maybe you don't see it because it's difficult to see, and it looks very flat on the screen. But if I got enough excess gold, when I hammer it later on, it's going to fill up the space. But I'm not going to take a chance. I'm going to put a little gold in the middle, only that I will be sure that I have enough. So it's easier to remove it than to put back some more later. And of course you don't have to do everything the same. So you can use silver too. Actually I'm going to do one with to find a good color. Yeah, I'm French. I'm sorry about that. Not being French, about using an appropriate word. Okay, let's say I want to do some green. And I could do like green and silver. Green, gold and silver. I think it's very pretty. I think green, gold and silver are very nice. And you may wonder why I don't use white gold. It's because I find it too difficult to inlay. So, you don't see it, sorry. See that part? Here is green. Actually, if I put a bit of gold, yellow, side by side, you may actually see the difference in color better. See? And now I'm going to put a little bit of silver. And actually it kind of makes sense. I mean, often when you look at tree in fall, the leaf can be of different color. Okay. So you put it more or less in place. Then basically you press it. When you press it, the metal is going to flow. And that's why you want to have the background fairly rough, because you want it to flow into the undercutting. Okay. I also use some copper. I use a copper mostly to do this thing here, which you also see in trees. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of shape it a little, especially, oh merde, especially with copper. Copper is much harder, of course, than gold or silver. And when you hammer it, it will have tendency to deform the metal. You see, I made a little hole right there. So, since I got some excess metal, I can actually move it forward, like so, and fill up my hole. It's always better to do it try to fill up as much of the hole as possible before you and if you worry about the mark I'm doing there, it doesn't really matter because I did my branch or trees beforehand because I wanted to have something somewhat logical. And it's much easier to have someone logical if you cut it all. If you try to improvise, sometimes you just don't put enough stuff. And then it looks weird because you get some place where you get a lot of branch and some place where you don't. And I kind of like to have something consistent. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, I will have to kind of, yeah, I mean you can say polish, which is not really an appropriate term, but basically that's what I do. When I will polish the surface, I will remove the excess material, of course, because they are supposed to be flush inlay. But I will also remove the mark which I am making on the rest of the engraving. And furthermore, I do use that's what I don't want to go away. Since that one is a little too thin, so it's not going to fill up the space properly. So I'm cutting it. And I put it more or less on its location, and then I press it there. Of course, on something that shape, it's really easy because basically when you undercut it, or when you do stipple it, let's say, you create like a dovetail. And of course, since you create a dovetail, the gold, in that case, the green gold, is going to flow underneath the surface. And it's going to stay there. Okay, I've done two gold, one gold and one gold silver. Now I'm going to make one completely silver. I think you have to keep it interesting for the viewer. And don't forget that the leaves are going to be shaded. So that too is going to give some degree of color. That one is going to be completely silver. Yeah, you can actually see it. And you see, I can actually pull it, and it's staying. And hopefully it will stay. Then once again, if I got a little hole, I move the material around to try to fill it up. And for that big hole in the middle, I'm just going to put a little more silver. There's really not much difference between doing small inlay like that and doing big one. I mean, the biggest difference is really the time. Of course, inlaying... Oh, what's wrong with that one? I must have taken the wrong gold. Oh yes, the wrong one. Let me try to see if I can make it a little softer. Merde, where did I put my torch? Okay, I don't find my torch, but of course I have plenty of lighter. So okay, and I try to soften it. You see, it's kind of dark now. So scaling is much harder than the material underneath the scaling. So I'm going to remove the scaling. And this, no, it's not quite right. Okay. Now it's bright. Because I remove the scaling. And I can try to inlay that one. I think that one is much harder. That one too is also green gold. But I think that one is a 14 car. And it got slightly different tone, and it's much more difficult to inlay because it is really hard. It worked okay in that instance because I got plenty of things to anchor it. But I don't usually try to inlay that one. I prefer the 18 karat, which is much easier if I can find it. Ah, here it is. I'll show you if you can see the difference. See? And actually the 18 is much greener than the 14. This one is, yeah, I was wondering if I had it right. This one is 18 and this one is 14, and you can see the difference in color. And the 18 is really much easier to inlay. I mean, it's just kind of hard, but the other one is much worse. I mean, I would say it's about like copper. And you know, the best copper you can get actually is electrical copper. It costs almost nothing, and you can get it in a lot of different sizes. If you go to your local Radio Shack and buy some, you can buy copper wire in different diameter. Also did find that the thinnest diameter, or the smallest diameter copper, is actually in electrical wire. So you strip the insulation, and then you can use the copper which is there. The copper which is there is 99.99, so it's a very pure copper, and of course it costs almost nothing. Don't know what I did with that piece of gold, but it looked weird. Doesn't look very round. Must have tried to do something. I mean, it's better to try to do it right the first time, because it's sometimes difficult. Not difficult, but always time consuming too. Try to fix the inlay. And sometimes it starts to pop out and it get to be quite aggravating. And you can direct the gold to go wherever you want, more or less. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to kind of hammer it. Not knowing how much you can see. Let me put a little more light. Okay, maybe you can see a little better that way. I'm going to put it a little more in the center. Yeah, as I was saying, I would love to try to inlay some red gold, which I did several times, but the one I bought was just too hard. I feel like if I was to have someone making just copper and gold, it will be softer. But unfortunately, most of what you can buy, they put some nickel. And even a tiny bit of nickel into an alloy makes the alloy overall very hard. Oh, it's a piece of the gun who fell. Anyway, as you can see, kind of crushing the gold and beating it to submission. And you can see the difference. It's really a huge difference between this green gold and that one, which can be interesting in some aspects. The only problem that the 14 karat green gold is really hard. And but I do believe that it will look actually very cool with silver, because it's almost the same color. We'll have to try that on the other inlay. I mean, I'm not in a... I don't want to torture myself doing something which is extremely difficult for a result which cannot justify the effort. For something small like that, it's kind of convenient because the bottom surface of the thing is easy to get pretty flat. But sometimes when you do larger inlays, especially when the surface you do your inlay is not flat, you can have some depression, and then you don't have enough gold or whatever metal you are using, and you cannot have like a depression on your gold, which is really not desirable. So you have to put some additional one, or you can try to move it around. I mean, okay, as I was saying, gold is very soft. So you can take a burnishing tool. I mean, that one is obviously not very necessary. But let's see that one. See, you got some ridge here. And if I do this, see, I remove the ridge. And stuff looks flatter. First, that one was not a problem. I got plenty of material. So I'm not really worried about having some hole. And same thing with that one. As I was saying, it's much easier on the small inlay. Okay, later I will come back when I will have finished that side, and I can polish it. Actually, you can see I don't have much excess material. I can like to have a little of it. I mean excess material. But as long as I don't have a depression, I'm okay with it. Of course, I don't have to be all that worried about the engraving around, because since it's a deep relief, I have to recut it anyway. So as long as I can see it, I'm fine. And you see, I am actually burnishing it, and when I burnish it, if my stuff was not anchored properly, the stuff will move out. Yes, it would. But obviously, this time I did a decent job, so it's not moving away. Trying to escape. And the other advantage of doing the burnishing too, if the gold or the copper or whatever metal is going to go away, might as well go away now. Because now it's not a big deal to put it back together. If it goes away when I will start to cut the background, or if it moves away after I cut the surrounding, it's going to be far more inconvenient and much more difficult to fix. So, don't be afraid to make it go away. People are going to shoot this thing. If it's not anchored properly, your gold is going to pop out. And it's so embarrassing to a client coming back to you telling you, oh, look what a lousy job you did on my baby. So, as inconvenient as it is when it starts to move, if it got to move, make it move now. So, don't be afraid to press it, to hammer it, or to do whatever you want to do to it. And if you see that it's starting to pop up, resist the temptation of pushing it back with your tool. If it pop up now, it will pop up more later. So, and there is another reason for that, that one of the things you are doing when you are pressing the gold or the silver or whatever metal, you're basically removing the air from underneath the surface. As you remove the air, especially in summertime, you remove humidity. So the thing is going to, if you do really a good job, you could hope to remove most of the air from underneath the surface, underneath the gold. And if you do, the stuff is not going to rust, and if it doesn't rust, it's going to stay there. Of course, if it does rust because there is too much air, too much humidity, the gold is going to move away. So, as I was saying, resist the temptation of pushing it back where it belongs. If it move away, if it try to move away, try to stick, sometimes, especially when you work with wire, you got a piece of wire which is sticking out. Just pull the piece sticking out, recut the background, and put another one. It's easier, faster, cheaper to do it now than to do it later. Anyway, that's all for now. I will come back when I am ready to polish that side of the iron. And so as you can see, I did move on and almost finished that side of the iron. But there is a curve, and I wanted to show you how I will manage with a curve. Not that it's very difficult, but any information can sometimes be very useful. Anyway, let's get moving on that. I won't do much comment because hopefully what you would see should be enough to give you some idea how to proceed. Okay, let me focus that stuff, and here we are. I don't know if you're seeing that much. Try to put some more light. Yeah, a little better that way, isn't it? Okay, we are back. Let me try to show you how it looks. Okay, that's the side of the forearm iron. Still bright. Let me. Still better like that. Okay, so I have finished the inlay on that side. Now I'm going to remove the excess material. It's not very exciting, but it needs to be done, so. Picture is not very sharp. I think it's better that way, isn't it? And I'm going to do a little of that. Of course you don't see very well, but try to put a little more light. It's not very much better, but I'm sure you got the idea. Okay, it's coming. Okay. So I didn't finish that part, as you can see here. Still slightly raised, but I don't care. I will do that when I do the top. And I'm going to polish it a little better. I don't know what the finish on that gun is, but it's not very nice. Okay, so now you got too much light. And it's out of focus again. Okay. As I was saying, I don't really need to have a very good polish right now. I just need to be able to see what I do. So, let's get moving. I'm going to do that a little and then I will finish it on my own. I'm sure you got better thing to do than to watch endless video. And I got better thing to do than to do it. So inconvenient. I wish that stuff had autofocus, but it doesn't. Not about now. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Okay, so let's get moving. So there is a little piece of gold here and there. I'm going to remove it. And I need to do a little more here. You see, there is no hole and there is no, there's some little hole. Oh, maybe not, it's dust. Okay, here I got some little copper, which I'm going to remove. And I got a little more here, which I will also remove. And a little piece there. Another one here. Okay. Let's pretend like it's okay. Engraving was pretty light to start with. Of course, the sanding didn't really help it, but it's okay. It worked that way. Okay, sometimes, as you see, it doesn't work very well. But I can fix it. See? Okay. That's... one of the little wiggly thing. When I got very little space, like here, I actually use a different tool. So I can have something kind of neat. You know what they say about neatness? Neatness is close to godliness. Oh, maybe they don't. Okay, let's do a little more. And you know, sometimes you don't want to do too much, you know, like this one. Just going to do this. And then when I stipple it, it's going to look just fine. Okay. Okay, I'm going to clean up that a little. Clean it here. A little there. Okay. That's it. Ah, forget that one. Okay, let me do that last one. My tool is very small, but still way too big. Okay, let me rephrase that. The cutting edge is very small, but as small as it is, it's always going to be too big to go to tiny space, you know, like here. There's no way I can make a nice square chisel. Adopt an angle. See? Need to stop way before the very edge. But that tool can do a better job. So, that's what I do. See, I just made a mistake. Look. When I was rolling my tool, I basically nick, how do I put it? I just nick the other side here. But it's a very small nick, so it doesn't really matter that much. But I can do that if it does. It's not perfect, but once again you have to remember the scale. I remember when I first started to use a microscope, since I could see it, I was putting a lot of detail on everything. And then I did realize that it was getting very messy when you were looking at it bare eyes. So you basically have to know where to stop. And it's never going to look perfect with your bare eyes, but on the other hand, when I don't give away, when I deliver my job, I don't deliver it with a microscope. So people will never see it. And very honestly, even if I was to deliver it with a microscope, I don't know if they would actually see it, because they are not trained to look at that type of detail. Okay. Okay, I think that's enough for now. And even when you engrave it, it's kind of funny. When you just finish a job, you remember all your mistakes and you can actually look at them. Basically, they are staring at you. But after a while, when you forgot all the mistakes you have made, hopefully the work will look better even to your own eyes. Fortunately enough, I don't remember my mistake for the rest of my life. Do a little corner again. I should say that if you ever have to engrave a netten, they are very pleasant to engrave. So a little one like the old Browning. Not speaking about the new ones, the one in Japan. My God, they are so hard. But the ones which were made in Belgium were really, really soft. A little like a Holland and Holland or a Purdy. Unless they are case color, of course. But if they were not, they were very nice to engrave. Excuse me. Okay, I think that's enough for today. I will get back to you. No, it's not a hole. There is a piece of metal there. Ah. Actually, it's not a piece of metal. There is a scratch. But it's okay because I need to do a better polishing, so I will do that later. Bye. Hello again. Here is the last installment of this project. Now I'm going to do the shading, as you can see. If you want to look, okay, that's the way it looks now. I did the background, stippling, and what else did I do? That's about it. Now I'm going to do the shading because I figure that you might be interested. So let's proceed. Basically, you can do the shading the way you want. I don't think there is no good way or bad way to do it. Actually, there is a bad way to do it. It's to make your shading too pronounced, or your line being too thick. But otherwise, there is really no proper way to do it, since they are leaves and all leaves are different. You can do whatever you want. So I'm just going to show you what I do. And do as you want with it. Actually, I did start that one. I wanted to try my tool before to start the video. Mhm. And we are almost done. Of course, I'm missing something. Et voilà. Let me show you. Oh, you can see it better that way actually. Let's see if I can focus it a little better.